Here's something most men will never admit. They're terrified of silence, terrified of what might happen if they stop texting first, terrified she'll forget about them, terrified another guy will swoop in and take their place. So what do? They chase harder, text more, double message, triple message. They become emotional ATMs, dispensing validation on demand, hoping that somehow, some way, she'll finally appreciate their effort. But here's the brutal truth nobody's telling you. The moment you become predictable, you become invisible. The moment she knows you'll always be there, always respond, always chase, you lose the one thing that makes attraction possible: mystery. And without mystery, there is no tension. Without tension, there is no desire. Without desire, you're just another guy in her inbox fighting for scraps of attention. Now, imagine something different. Imagine what happens when you stop playing that game entirely, when you pull back your energy, your time, your attention, when you create space where there was once constant availability. Something powerful happens, something that separates boys who beg from men who command respect. Your silence becomes the loudest message she's ever received. This isn't theory. This isn't some pickup artist manipulation tactic. This is human psychology at its core. When you stop contacting a woman, you trigger a psychological shift that forces her to confront reality. She can no longer coast on your attention. She can no longer take you for granted. She must now decide. Does she value you, or was she just enjoying the validation you provided? And here's the beautiful part. You don't have to ask. You don't have to interrogate. You simply watch. Her behavior will tell you everything you need to know. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal exactly what happens inside a woman's mind when you go silent. I'll show you the 7 psychological stages she experiences, how to recognize them, and most importantly, how to respond like a man who understands his worth. Whether she's someone you're dating, an ex who won't commit, or a woman who's been keeping you on the back burner, what you're about to learn will change how you see relationships forever. Because once you understand the power of strategic silence, you'll never chase again. You'll attract, you'll filter, you'll choose, and that's when everything changes. Let's dive in. 1. She tests your silence, the investigation phase. The moment you stop contacting a woman, her entire reality shifts. For days, weeks, maybe months, you've been a constant presence, a notification, a like, a message, a source of emotional stimulation. And now, nothing. Radio silence. This creates what psychologists call pattern interruption, and it's deeply unsettling to the human brain. But here's what most guys don't realize. She won't immediately admit she notices. Her ego won't allow it. Instead, the first thing she does is test whether your silence is real or just another attention-seeking move. She's seen guys try to play games before, and she wants to know, are you different or are you just like the rest? These tests come in subtle, calculated forms. She might post something cryptic on social media, a quote about finally focusing on myself or letting go of what doesn't serve me. It's bait. She's watching to see if you'll react, if you'll break first, if you'll come crawling back with a "you okay" message. She might like an old photo of yours from 6 months ago, just to put herself back on your radar. She might view your Instagram story within seconds of you posting it, a digital breadcrumb saying, "I'm still here." And here's the most common test, the random text. Out of nowhere, she'll send something that seems innocent. "Hey, did you ever watch that show I recommended?" Or, "Random question, do you still have that charger I left at your place?" These aren't genuine questions, they're probes. She's testing your emotional stability, your resolve, your self-control. Most men fail this test spectacularly. They see her name pop up on their phone and their heart races. Finally, she reached out. She must miss me. So they respond immediately, eagerly, desperately. And in that instant, they've handed her back all the power they briefly held. She now knows that your silence was never strength. It was just a tactic. She knows you were waiting for her to come back. And once she knows that, the game resets and you're back to square one. But when you stay silent, when you don't react to her social media posts, don't respond to her breadcrumb texts, Don't give her the validation she's fishing for. Something shifts in her perception of you. She begins to realize that maybe, just maybe, she miscalculated your value. Maybe you're not like the other guys. Maybe you actually meant it when you walked away. Women test men constantly because they're looking for emotional strength. They want to know if you're the type of man who crumbles the moment she pulls back, or if you're grounded enough to maintain your frame regardless of her behavior. When you pass this test through continued silence, you're communicating something far more powerful than words ever could. My peace is more valuable than your validation. That realization is terrifying for her, because if you're not chasing, if you're not affected by her tests, then she's lost the control she didn't even realize she had, and that's when stage 2 begins. 2. She doubts her control, the shift in power. Here's a truth about modern dating that nobody wants to say out loud. Most relationships operate on an unspoken power dynamic. And in that dynamic, whoever cares less has more control. Not because they're cold or manipulative, but because they're not emotionally dependent on the outcome. They're not walking on eggshells. They're not overthinking every text. They're simply existing in their own frame, and the other person either fits into that frame or they don't. When you were chasing, texting first, always available, you handed her control without even realizing it. She knew that if she pulled away, you'd chase harder. If she went cold, you'd try to warm things up. If she disappeared, you'd panic. This gave her tremendous emotional comfort because it meant she could act however she wanted without consequence. She had you on a leash, and you didn't even know you were wearing a collar. But the moment you go silent, that leash disappears, and with it, her sense of control evaporates. Now she's lying awake at night wondering, why hasn't he reached out? What changed? Did I push him too far? Has he moved on? These aren't casual thoughts. These are intrusive, persistent questions that chip away at her confidence. Because for the first time, she's not sure where she stands with you. For the first time, you're a mystery again. For the first time, she's experiencing what you felt all along, uncertainty. And uncertainty, when it comes to someone you're attracted to, is magnetic. It's the feeling that keeps you checking your phone. It's the thought that interrupts your day. It's the pull that makes someone who was once indifferent suddenly become interested. Think about it. When you were constantly available, your presence became background noise, expected, normal, forgettable. But the moment you disappear, you become the signal in a world full of noise. Every other guy trying to get her attention feels like desperation. You're the one who walked away with dignity. You're the one who didn't need her validation to feel whole. You're the one who valued yourself enough to remove your energy from a situation that wasn't serving you. This creates cognitive dissonance in her mind. She's used to men chasing her. She's used to being the prize. But now you've flipped the script entirely. You've made yourself the prize. And prizes don't chase. They're chased. Here's where it gets interesting. When a woman loses control, she has two options. She can either walk away and protect her ego, or she can try to regain control by reaching back out. Either way, you win, because you're no longer in the dark about her intentions. Her response to your silence tells you everything you need to know about how she truly feels. If she walks away without a second thought, congratulations. You just saved yourself months or years of chasing someone who was never that into you. But if she starts to chase, if she starts to wonder, if she starts to question her position in your life, then you've successfully triggered something deep within her psychology, the fear of loss. And fear of loss is one of the most powerful motivators in human behavior. It's why people regret breaking up with someone only after they've moved on. It's why we value things more when they're taken away. It's why your silence, when done from a place of genuine self-respect, becomes more attractive than 1,000 words ever could be. You're not controlling her. You're not manipulating her. You're simply refusing to be controlled yourself. And that distinction is everything. 3. She replays the past, the memory reconstruction phase. Here's something fascinating about human memory. We don't remember things as they were. We remember them based on how we feel about them now. And when you go silent, when you remove yourself from her present, her brain does something automatic and powerful. It starts reconstructing the past. Suddenly, she's no longer thinking about that argument you had or that time you were too available. She's thinking about the way you made her laugh, the connection you shared, the version of herself she became when she was with you. The good memories start flooding back, not because they were better than she remembered, but because your absence has created space for nostalgia to take root. This is the irony of human nature. We take things for granted when they're easily accessible, and we romanticize them when they're gone. When you were constantly present, she could afford to focus on your flaws, your mistakes, the little things that annoyed her. But now that you're gone, all of that fades into the background and she's left with something much more powerful: regret. She starts scrolling through old messages, reading conversations from months ago when things felt easy. She looks at old photos, remembering moments when you made her feel special, safe, chosen. She catches herself thinking about you at random times during the day, when a song comes on, when she passes a place you used to go, when something reminds her of an inside joke you shared. And here's what makes this stage so powerful. She's not just missing you. She's missing the version of herself that existed when you were together. Because when you were around, you brought out something in her: confidence, playfulness, vulnerability, whatever it was. And now that you're gone, she feels that absence not just in her life, but within herself. But there's another layer to this that most guys never consider. When she replays the past, she's not just thinking about what you did wrong. She's also confronting what she did wrong. The times she took you for granted, the moments she was distant or dismissive, the way she pushed you away without realizing she was doing it. And slowly, guilt begins to creep in. Maybe I should have appreciated him more. Maybe I was too hard on him. Maybe he was better than I gave him credit for. These thoughts don't come all at once. They build gradually, each one adding weight to the realization that she might have lost something valuable. And the longer your silence lasts, the heavier that weight becomes. Because every day that passes without hearing from you is another day she has to sit with the possibility that you're not coming back. This is where your discipline becomes crucial. Because if you break the silence too soon, if you reach out before she's had time to fully process what she's lost, you rob her of this journey. You prevent her from arriving at the conclusion that needs to come from within her, not from you convincing her of your worth. The woman who replays the past and confronts her own role in pushing you away is the woman who comes back different. She comes back with awareness, with appreciation, with intention. And that's the only kind of comeback worth considering. Your job during this stage isn't to do anything. It's to let her mind do the work that your words never could, because you can't talk someone into valuing you. They have to discover your value on their own, through the painful reality of your absence. 4. She starts watching you. The surveillance phase. Now we enter one of the most telling stages of the process: observation. When a woman feels your absence but isn't ready to admit it, she becomes a silent observer of your life. She won't text you. She won't call. She might not even like your posts. But make no mistake, she's watching closely. This is the digital age's version of checking up on someone. And it's more revealing than most women realize. She'll view your Instagram stories, sometimes within seconds of you posting them. She'll scroll through your recent photos, looking for clues about what you're doing, who you're with, whether you're thinking about her. She might even create a fake account if her pride won't allow her to watch from her real profile. Why? Because she needs answers to questions she can't bring herself to ask directly. Is he hurt? Has he moved on? Is there someone else? Was I that easy to forget? This surveillance behavior reveals something crucial: emotional investment. If she truly didn't care, she wouldn't be checking. She wouldn't be wondering. She'd simply move on without a second thought. But the fact that she's monitoring your digital footprint means your silence has created something she can't ignore: curiosity mixed with insecurity. And here's where most men make a critical mistake. They see her watching, and they use it as an opportunity to perform. They start posting things designed to make her jealous: photos with other women, quotes about leveling up, flexing success or happiness. They think they're making her want them more, but in reality, they're revealing their hand. Because trying to make her jealous proves you still care about her reaction. It proves your silence wasn't real strength. It was strategic manipulation. The truly powerful move is to live authentically. Don't post for her. Don't curate your life to trigger a response. Just exist in your own frame, pursuing your goals, maintaining your peace, moving forward with purpose. Let her see that your life isn't collapsing without her. Let her witness your stability, your growth, your contentment. Because nothing triggers a woman's attraction more than a man who's genuinely unaffected by her absence. Think about what this communicates. While she's obsessing over you, stalking your profiles, analyzing your every move, you're just living, not bitter, not desperate, not playing games, just existing as a high-value man who doesn't need her validation to feel complete. This creates a devastating comparison in her mind. She looks at every other guy currently vying for her attention, the ones constantly liking her photos, sliding into her DMs, trying too hard to get her to notice them, and they all start to feel like noise, desperate noise. But you're the signal. You're the one who was strong enough to walk away. You're the one who didn't crumble when she pulled back. You're the one who values himself. And as she watches you continue to thrive without her, something shifts. The watching transforms into wondering. The wondering transforms into wanting. And the wanting eventually becomes action, which brings us to the next stage. But here's what you must understand. Her watching you is not permission to perform for her. It's simply confirmation that your silence is working. She's emotionally engaged and she's trying to figure out her next move. Your job is to stay the course, remain authentic, maintain your standards. Don't break just because you know she's paying attention, because the moment you perform for her, you reveal that you were waiting for her to watch. And that kills the entire dynamic. Stay in your purpose, let her watch. And trust that if she's meant to be in your life, she'll do more than observe from the shadows. She'll step into the light and make herself known. 5. She reaches out indirectly, the feeler phase. After days or weeks of watching, wondering, and wrestling with her ego, she arrives at a crossroads. She wants to break the silence, but she doesn't want to appear weak or desperate. She wants to know if there's still a chance, but she doesn't want to risk rejection. So what does she do? She reaches out indirectly, a move designed to test the waters without fully exposing herself. This is one of the most calculated stages of the entire process, and it's where most men unknowingly sabotage themselves. Because these indirect reach-outs feel like progress. They feel like she's coming back. They feel like validation that your silence worked. But here's the truth. An indirect reach-out is not a comeback. It's a probe. It's her way of checking if you're still available, still interested, still waiting, without having to put her pride on the line. The forms this takes are almost comically predictable once you know what to look for. She'll send a message at midnight that just says, "Hey," with no context, no explanation, no substance. She'll reply to your Instagram story from 3 days ago with a fire emoji or a one-word response. She'll text you something seemingly practical. "Did I leave my sunglasses at your place?" Or, "What was the name of that restaurant we went to?" These messages are engineered to seem casual, innocent, even coincidental. But make no mistake, every word is calculated. She's watching to see how quickly you respond, how much emotion you show, whether you'll take the bait and reopen the conversation. Because if you do, she gets exactly what she wants, validation that you still care, without having to admit she's the one who cares. And this is where you must be ruthless with your discernment. A strong man doesn't reward breadcrumbs with a full meal. He doesn't treat a low-effort reach out as if it's a genuine attempt at reconnection. Because if she truly valued you, if she truly wanted you back in her life, she wouldn't be playing these indirect games. She'd communicate clearly, directly, and with vulnerability. So what do? You have 3 options, and only one maintains your power. Option 1, you respond immediately, emotionally, eagerly. This is what she's hoping for. It tells her you were waiting, that your silence was fake, that she still has control. You've just reset the entire dynamic back to where it was before you went silent. Game over. Option 2, you ignore her completely. This can work if her reach out was particularly low effort or if you've genuinely decided she's not worth your time. But it can also come across as petty or game playing if you were actually interested in reconnecting. Remember, the indirect reach out is not the finish line. It's not her coming back. It's her testing whether you're still available. Don't celebrate prematurely. Don't drop your standards because she finally threw you a crumb. Stay strong, stay selective, and make her prove through consistent, clear, respectful action that she deserves another chance to be in your life. Final truth. Silence isn't a tactic. It's self-respect in action. Let's bring this full circle. When you stop contacting a woman, you're not playing a game. You're not manipulating her emotions. You're not using some pickup artist strategy to trick her into wanting you. You're doing something far more important. You're reclaiming your power and protecting your peace. Every stage you've just learned about, the tests, the doubt, the watching, the emotional breakdowns, the bold moves, all of it happens because silence creates one thing that words never could: clarity. Clarity about who she is. Clarity about what she values. Clarity about whether she sees you as a priority or just an option. Men who understand this don't need to chase. They don't need to convince. They don't need to prove their worth through constant availability and overcommunication. They simply exist in their own frame, and they allow women to either meet them there or reveal themselves as incompatible. The right woman, the one who's emotionally mature, who values genuine connection, who recognizes a high-value man when she has one, won't need months of silence to realize your worth. She'll feel your absence immediately and respond with clarity, respect, and effort. She won't play games. She won't test you endlessly. She'll simply show up. But the wrong woman, she'll take you for granted until you're gone. She'll only want you when she can't have you. She'll reach out when her other options fall through, and your silence will expose all of that before you waste years of your life hoping she'll change. That's the real power of going silent. It's not about getting her back. It's about getting answers. And once you have those answers, you can make an informed decision about whether she deserves access to your time, energy, and emotional investment. So here's my challenge to you. Stop chasing confusion. Stop overanalyzing mixed signals. Stop accepting breadcrumbs and calling it connection. If a woman in your life isn't showing up with consistency, respect, and genuine effort, create space. Go silent. Not out of anger or revenge, but out of self-respect. And then watch. Watch what she does with your absence. Watch whether she panics or pretends not to care. Watch whether she steps up or walks away. Watch whether she values you or just valued your attention. Because her response to your silence will tell you everything you need to know. The man who can walk away is the man who women chase. The man who values his peace over her validation is the man who commands respect. The man who refuses to beg, convince, or negotiate his worth is the man who attracts women who already understand his value. That's real power, not in the words you say, but in the silence you can hold. Not in how hard you chase, but in how confidently you walk away. Not in making her want you, but in becoming so valuable that her wanting you becomes inevitable. Remember this. Never be afraid to remove your energy from situations that don't serve you. Never feel guilty for protecting your peace. Never apologize for having standards. The right woman will recognize your worth in your absence and come back with everything you deserve: clarity, respect, and consistent effort. And if she doesn't, then your silence just saved you from wasting your life on someone who was never meant to be yours. And that, more than any relationship, is the ultimate victory. That's real power.